that's your true fairy form. But I don't see Fallen Leaf Lake anywhere. What's going on here?
I'm sorry I deceived you, Joseph. I think now is a good time to tell you the whole story about myself. As I told you before, I'm the spirit embodiment of Fallen Leaf Lake itself, who appears in the form of a fairy, and it is my duty to oversee it. I normally do not interact with the physical bodies of the living because my fairy form is invisible to ordinary people in their physical world. The spatial spirit realm which you see before you is the only place where in which my true form can be seen. During the summer months when thousands of tourists and natives flock to my shores for recreation, I play a pivotal role in nature. From the safety of the nature spirit realm, I watch over the area and ensure people do not pollute my waters and enjoy my waters in a responsible way. However, in the winter, when most tourism in the Tahoe area shifts to skiing and other winter activities, I find myself with much more time on my hands, as the spirits who oversee winter take on their roles. During the snowy Tahoe winters, I spend much of my time in a meditative trance, which is similar to what the Native Americans called transcendental meditation. Since you used to live in Lake Tahoe and frequented my shores to have picnics as a child, I took quite an interest in you because I saw that you had a rare personality disorder known as Asperger's syndrome. Consequently, you had many unusual behavioral patterns and interesting ways of life, and I knew that you needed help to survive in a world where introverts are often at a disadvantage, which incidentally I think is extremely unfair, but I digress.
You mean you've been spying on me throughout my whole life?
No, I haven't exactly been spying on your life per se, but I noticed that you were becoming more and more emotionally unbalanced at this critical stage of your life where you transition into adulthood. I then realized that the characters you just finished meeting had something to do with it. So I used my psychic abilities of foresight and transcendence to see these alternate universes firsthand. I learned about all these characters, how they managed to accomplish what they did, and what all was going on to make you so emotionally invested. Once I saw, I completely understood. I agree that Azeroth is a planet plagued by war and blinded by chauvinism, and I too felt very sorry for all of your characters and the trials and suffering they went through. Even I felt sickened at times by the lack of compassion and self-control they showed, and in many ways those characters that I had you meet, particularly Summer, Natuos, and Tabo, would fit the molds of so-called bitter hippies who are stuck in a world where ruthlessness and right-wing politics are rewarded. I wanted you to know that I fully empathize with your concerns. However, since your destiny in this life is on planet Earth, you must endeavor to get over the compassionate pain you are feeling and focus on your own life. You stand at a defining moment in your life, and you must cherish this precious time that you have. Because in the end, your life on Earth is far too short to be worried about the fates of universes which lie several galaxies away.
Well, I don't even know what to say. Can I ask you some questions?
Of course, ask me anything. I'm here to help you.
As far as my characters go, I was wondering, as a kid, I always used to really like, for instance, the Egypt theme in some levels, as well as the pyramids and stuff. I remember liking that as a kid, but yet I didn't see any desert-type characters that have shaman powers. Another class I was wondering about was the rogue who sneaks around and kind of plays like Sly Cooper. Can you explain more about why I didn't encounter those characters?
Well, Master Agonoth, the Jedi you saw in the Star Wars universe, is a species known as Mirialan. Their home world is the planet Miriel, which is a desert world, albeit much colder like Mars. However, as far as shamanistic desert dwellers go, there was one universe known as Talon I'd hoped to show you in the final stages of the dream state, but alas, it lies beyond my reach to transcend for long. All I can tell you is there was a character known as Benny Lavos who lived on the desert continent of that planet, and the culture of his people was much like the Arabic cultures we have here on Earth. He also possessed, of all things, a phoenix as a spirit companion, and his fighting style was very similar to Leobon's. But I'm sorry, that is all I know. While the rogue classes might be fun to play in context, in terms of personality, I didn't really feel you identified with them too well. The Forsaken have the Deathstalkers in Azeroth, but their organization is heavily dedicated to Sylvanas. Not the most ideal people to interview. The closest example I could see was the Jedi consular path that Master Akonoff could have taken, which was called the Jedi Shadow. They use a double-bladed lightsaber similar to Darth Maul's and use the Force to conceal themselves to sneak into enemy territory, but nevertheless it would have been interesting if Master Akonoff had chosen that path, because I know that the word shadow for that context has significant meaning to you due to its use in the Sly Cooper game you played.
I got a shadow, huh? You stink! Back in my day, thieves knew how not to get caught.
I learned from my dad when I saw that scene that shadow in this context means like a spy who follows someone. But yeah, that's a memorable quote.
Nevertheless, if you had chosen the path of the Jedi Shadow, here's an example of a lightsaber you might have gone
Biggest universe I'm wondering about is Pokemon. How come I didn't get to see there? It was such an important universe for me. It was the universe that defined a generation, got me into RPGs to begin with, and really sparked my gaming fever. And how come I didn't meet Ho-Oh 59 or Pokemon Gym Leader I identified with? Can you explain?
I wanted to show you the Pokemon universe firsthand, I really and truly did. But I decided against it due to my limited power reserves, as well as the fact that, from a psychology standpoint, you were into Pokemon heavily in a day when your personality was much more different. For example, your Ho-Oh 59 character was a lot more self-involved even at Lemmy's Land back then. And you used to have that belief of Pokemon weight being important to the point where you distorted Victory Bell's weight in your eyes due to the fact that you already liked him but he was too light. In a way, many of your reflections that you've gone through in this dream state are truly a testament to how much you've matured from that point of view. But nevertheless, I would advise you to stay open to the possibilities. You might see something in the near future.
Talking about all of this made me realize there's something else I wanted to ask you, my dear Lake Spirit.
Yes?
I asked on the forum about what class would best fit somebody with Asperger's, and many of them said warlocks, I remember. Even in the magical personality book, my shadow creature, which represents my points of weakness, was a woodwose. And that's another name for the wild man of nature. So this means that the negative side of my personality, by that person's definitions, is associated with death and with the crushing effects of time and space itself. And whereas someone who's a primary woodwose type, or phoenix, ironically, would embody the opposite traits I do not possess, such as extroversion, drive, and so forth. Because I could never become a nurse in the real world because I just don't have the social skills or the affinity for children. But yet
many of the characters you have just met have healing powers. Listen to me, Joseph. Due to the nature of your Asperger's syndrome, you happen to possess many qualities which the ancients associated with the god and planet Saturn, and with things like darkness and death. Very strong introversion, independent-mindedness, difficulty understanding emotions, a certain degree of underlying cynicism. Yet your characters, with the exception of Sith Dice, by and large possess light-based and nature-based divine magic rather than darkness-based magic. Do you know why that is?
at heart, I truly do feel that those characters represent the classes who I, as an audience member, would be most likely to agree with and be on the side of as they're struggling with their universe's many trials.
Exactly. Which makes you very different from not only the typical fantasy warlock, but also from many other people with Asperger's. It is our choices, Joseph, that define who we truly are, rather than things such as our nationality, our abilities, and even our personalities. I'm an INFJ, by the way.
Wow, so you know about Myers-Briggs also?
Oh yes, I've always had a strong interest in personality, much like you.